Hello guys and welcome back to some more F1 2016 career mode on the channel. It's going to be part 3 taking place at China today, following on from, spoiler alert if you haven't watched it already, an epic race at Bahrain, an epic result in Bahrain. But let's see what's on the table as we move into this race weekend.
How are you today? The improved package has arrived. We're having it fitted in time for FP1. Have a look at the factory report.
So that's good to hear. The upgrade package that we picked from last time out for the downforce, a 1.8% increase in downforce for the car, has arrived for this race weekend. So that's going to be fitted, and we'll be testing that out in the practice session, as well as obviously running the practice program to get more development points in the bank to try and improve the car further as the races come and go. But as I say, we're going to run into practice for China, see what's going on, see if we can get some more development points in the bank.
This weekend sees us arrive in Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix. First up is today's practice session.
So starting off with, as per usual, we're going to be running all three of the programs available. They're still quite interesting to me at the moment. I don't know how long that's going to last, but I'll say we need to run these to make sure we get the car performance if we want to bring this car to a championship winning position. We're coming towards the end of the track acclimatization test. Obviously just getting a feel for the track and feel for the car, getting back into the rhythm here. Mostly purples, a few greens creeping into the display, but nothing too major to worry about, and we're going to cross the line with all but 3 purples, which is going to be easy enough to get 50 development points in the bank for us. Now, the tyre wear test up and running on the final lap here as we're coming into the start of Sector 2. And as we exit the corner, so we just get a massive spike of torque and power, which just goes through the rear wheels and lights them up, and that does cost us quite a lot in terms of the tyre performance. We've got to be quite careful through the rest of this sector. You can see we're just taking it nice and easy on the steering, try not to put in too much lock, suffer a little bit in terms of the lap time to make sure that the tyres aren't under too much stress in terms of the traction or the strain they're going through in the corners. A little tip I will make you all aware of is to say, I know some people have been complaining that the track acclimatization, nice English, track acclimatization is easy enough, but things like the tyre wear test in particular, and also the qualifying pace is a little bit harder. What you can do is that when you come into the tyre wear test, you can actually run a rich mixture for every single lap that you do. You do have enough fuel to do that. So if you're struggling on the target lap time, which I've done a few times, I won't lie, and I know other people have been struggling as well, you can to get a little bit of extra lap time from the car, run a rich mixture, and that will obviously boost your lap time. But it means you'll have to be a little bit more careful obviously on the throttle coming out corners to make sure you keep the tyre wear where it needs to be, which we've just about done on this lap, keeping it in the purple. We're under the target lap time, which gives us the 15 points we needed on that lap to get us the 50 development points sorted once again. Then the qualifying pace, we're just about going to sneak through with a purple score, I do believe. We're 2 tenths under where we need. That is going to be enough to give us a purple score, so that's going to be a full 50 points once again gathered from the practice program. So some good running, some good data gathering. The downforce package obviously working well on the car for its first running, and the resource points gathered from that session very healthy indeed. We're looking at a full 223 available, boosting us up to now 591, whereas I think we are going to listen to the voicemail to see what the qualifying objectives are going to be.
Just letting you know that we've had the team's expectations through for the upcoming qualifying session.
So qualify 8th or higher and beat our teammate as per usual. So we're going to look to see what's going on here. In terms of research and development, we're going to be saving up and banking our points to make sure we have enough for another downforce package, as I think that's where the car is lacking. So we're going to be saving up for that, see if we can get some more in qualifying. But let's go head out onto qualifying, see what we can do.
We'd like to welcome you from wherever in the world you join us today for this F1 qualifying session here in Shanghai, China.
So Q1 was done and dusted in just a matter of minutes, 36.9 on the super soft tyres, making it through nice and comfortable, nothing to worry about there. Q2 next on the cards, again improving to a 36.4, so finding half a second to put us into P5 on the grid. P5 in that session, which will move us into the top 10 shootout, to which we'll then find out where we're going to be starting on the grid. Notable exception is going to be Daniel Ricciardo, who didn't make it through on soft tyres, but Kimi Räikkönen and Nico Rosberg did make it through on soft tyres, so they'll be looking to start on those, as we're now going to ride on board for our hot lap to see where we can get on the grid. Coming into turn 1 with the sunshine bouncing off the track at the front of the car, making it very difficult to see where we're going, as we're running the car nicely out wide and then bringing it in for the pinch of the apex of turn 2. feed the car downhill through this left hand, just feeding in the throttle as best you can, just about get to full throttle as you go into 4th gear, as we're now coming down to the start of the 2nd sector. Let's see how we compare to Rosberg in this 1st sector. We're actually up there by 800, so a little bit of a lock-up on the way in. Something that needs to be done with this handling model, especially in qualifying. Well, I say especially only in qualifying. Can you really, once you pass through the apex, you need to be trying to pick up the throttle nice and early to get the car rotating. And that's where there's a fine balance between obviously rotating the car on the throttle and getting the power on optimally, and then obviously overdoing it and just completely losing the rear end on wheel spin. It's a fine art in terms of trying to balance it, but that's where a lot of lap time can be found. You see, we're down by a 1/10.5, so we've lost about a 1/4 of a second in that middle sector as we're now coming around the banked right hand onto the back straight, picking up the full throttle nice and early there. So the car feeling nice and planted on this lap, especially as we're coming up to the DRS activation point. A little tip for you guys as well, if you didn't already know, is that with the activation point, obviously you want to be activating it as early as possible. Before you come up to the activation point, if you just hold down your button that's dedicated to your DRS, it'll actually open up automatically if you have it held down when you cross over the activation point. So just a little tip for you guys if you want to use that. But in terms of our lap here, we've nailed that final corner beautifully, opening up DRS once more, driving to the line. It's going to be a 35.904, putting us in P5 on the grid, so a half-second improvement through each of the sessions there. And we actually managed to deliver our fastest lap at the end of qualifying, which is ideal.
All set then for the race tomorrow. But before we go, let's quickly remind ourselves of our top 3, who are Rosberg, Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel. It's time to leave for now, but we'll be back tomorrow when the Grand Prix itself gets underway.
So P5 on the grid for us, Hamilton starting in P4, so once again being out-qualified by his teammate and the 2 Ferraris. So he's not been performing very well in qualifying, but his race performances have been pretty stellar, it must be said. As we now look at our resource points gained, another 112, 723 the total now, so we're still just shy of the 750 that's needed for the upgrade package to be put into development at the factory. So hopefully we might be able to pick up enough points in the race to maybe put that into development just before we leave the circuit, and maybe have something ready in time for the next Grand Prix, which is going to be in Russia, which obviously be the next episode. But now we've got the voicemail to see what our race objectives are going to be.
How are you? I have some information on the race goals you should keep in mind.
So finish the race in 6th place or higher, beat Sergio Perez and place 12th or higher in the championship. So basically we've got to try and maintain station in the race if we can.
Hard work, ingenuity and ambition. All things you'll find in abundance amongst the 15 million people of Shanghai over there to our southeast. And we've got plenty of that here on the grid as well. 20,000 horsepower, give or take, chomping at the bit to be unleashed for the Chinese Grand Prix.
Well, the rain has arrived. As you see from the session forecast, we've got rain, well, light rain just all the way throughout, and it's going to be either a 1-stop off for the intermediates or maybe even a 2-stop if you can't manage the tyres. So we've now got the formation lap to try and get used to these conditions. Obviously our first time driving in these conditions on the game, and you see just from the practice start with half throttle we just completely lit the rear tyres up there, so that's going to be something we need to make a note of moving into the actual proper race start, as we now obviously need to try and warm the tyres as well in these cool conditions. They're not particularly too fond of the water, obviously it makes them cool as we light them up out of the hairpin as we come towards the end, just trying to heat them up as much as possible before the car gets taken over, which it's been done now. So around that formation lap, obviously just trying to get a feel for the car, feel for the conditions, see what's going on with the heavy fuel and how the tyres are interacting with the track, the traction, the braking, because obviously it's going to be, as I say, a brand new experience for us. It's not the best time to be doing it at the start of a Grand Prix, but that's how we've been dealt with, as our AI doesn't do us any favours and hasn't lined the car up perfectly straight, so we're going to have to put a little bit of right hand down once the lights go out, which is going to hurt our traction, I would have thought. But ahead, that's only where we're looking, is ahead. We've got the 5 red lights, and then between us and those are a Mercedes, 2 Ferraris and another Mercedes, as the rest of the cars look to be just about taking up their grid slots now. So we're going to be pulling in that clutch, making sure that we're going to be in the optimal RPM range and launching this thing off the line as best we can in these tricky conditions. So the 5 light sequence has started, 4 lights, 5 lights are on, and away they go, and it's a go for the Chinese Grand Prix. It's not a bad getaway, but the second phase is much better than the initial launch. We're up the inside of 3 cars here, going into turn 1. We're on the inside of Hamilton's. We run a little bit deep with contact, masses of oversteer and arm lock. Oh, I can't even get my words out. Just whatever. Oversteer is the order of the day, but we have managed to maintain the car going in the straight line I can't get my words out. I'm suffering. What's going on? Anyway, we're into P2. Rosberg up ahead, hasn't got a great run. We're in the slipstream trying to decide which way we want to go. We can't make our mind up. He's blocking the track. Going up the inside into this hairpin a little bit deep. Going in there, and we're going to be running wide onto the curb, losing the back end slightly. Another little touch on the side pull of another Mercedes, as we're now going to be looking up the inside, now going around the outside, trying to pull off the karting line, as you'd expect there to be more grip off the the slippery rubber in the wet, but we're onto the grass, and that doesn't seem to be working in the game compared to real life, as we're now coming under pressure from Hamilton. So we're going to have to give a little bit of squirt off the throttle, make sure we cover him off, and we're still running in P2. So electric start as the back end dancing around as we try and get on the throttle, run that double left-hander. We have maintained P2. It looks like there's a little bit of trouble going through that sector 2 there with a couple of back markers falling way behind the rest of the pack. But up ahead it's Rosberg who's maintained his lead. Hamilton again with an electric start, jumping the 2 Ferraris, but he was no match for us in our second phase of start, which was just absolutely awesome, as we're now up into a rich mixture, picking up the slipstream from Rosberg to see what he's got in answer to us. And it doesn't need to be a lot. He seems to be struggling towards the end of this straight with his straight line speed for some reason. That's allowed us to close right up, under braking, a little bit cautious. We're going to just roll it down the inside of Rosberg, clip the apex, block him off on the exit, and that is an absolute textbook overtake. And we are into the lead of the Chinese Grand Prix at the end of lap 1. We've gone from 5th to 1st place. Our speech might not have been great, but the on-track action certainly was, as we've done all the hard work in terms of the first lap over and done with. 5th to 1st, first lap of the race. Can't ask for much more than that, as we now need to try and see what our pace is like, because Rosberg seems to be struggling in these conditions, just like he does in real life, it has to be said. Maybe a bit of a cork in the bottle, so to speak. We're now free. It'll be interesting to see if Hamilton can make any moves on him in the near future, and anyone else for that matter, looking to come steaming past him, as otherwise we are going to be hopefully pulling out a little bit of an advantage over Rosberg in these early stages of the race. And as you can see at the end of lap 2, in the top left hand corner, Hamilton has just indeed passed Rosberg down at this back straight coming into the hairpin. So Rosberg definitely struggling. We're free of him. Hamilton is now free, so it's going to be interesting to see what his pace is like compared to us. As you can see, the gap that we've got at this early stage of the race, pretty substantial already, which is going to be crucial to giving us confidence and settling into a rhythm if we can, as we go purple once again. The gap just under 2 seconds, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes from this point onwards. Cutting a few laps later to lap 4 now, the gap stabilised between us and Hamilton, but Rosberg's being left for dead as we're just getting a little bit out of shape and clipping the white line there. And we've got, again, armfuls of oversteer going on, and we've just about managed to keep it pointing in the right direction, but Hamilton has closed right up onto the back of us again, with gap just half a second, as we need to try and gather our thoughts and our focus again to try and get into our rhythm, to try and extend that gap if we can. To say all the hard work that we had done for those opening few laps to build our confidence, as we needed to lose the back end once again on the white line, as that's a really good physics that the game has here with its looseness of the cars. You're going over the white lines and the curbs in the rain with anywhere near full throttle, as we come around the bank right hander, and again almost losing the back end over the curb as the car just seemed to bottom out slightly there. But coming to lap 14, not a lot of actual on-track action going on, it must be said, as we're at that halfway point. The engineer had been telling us the light rain is looking to continue, so we are going to be pitting at the end of this lap for another set of intermediates and hopefully going to the end if we can. And you can see the gap that we've extended over Hamilton and Rosberg even further behind, and he's really been struggling and has not been able to pick up his pace, as Kvyat has exited the race and retired from the race with a terminal car problem by the looks of things. But that's not going to be any of our worries, as we're coming into the pit lane now, making sure not to overcook the entry, as we get a warning for exceeding the track limits, which is slightly interesting. Coming down towards the pit limiter line, making sure we're not over that 50-mile-an-hour limit, and we do so hit the pit limiter very cautiously, making sure no chance of a penalty coming our way for that, as we don't need to be taking any risks. How's the pit stop, boys? All good, 2 seconds flat. Excellent job. So we're doing our job on track. The strategy guys are doing their job on the pit wall, and the guys in the pit box doing all what they need to do as well to make sure we have the best opportunity to win at this race. Yet again, another possible race victory on the cards here, as it is ours to lose. We seem to have extremely good pace in these conditions compared to the AI, and it's just Raikkonen and Rosberg ahead, as we're nearly a full pit stop ahead of those guys. But they're now coming into the pit lane. Obviously they couldn't pit the lap before because of their respective teammates being in the pit lane, but we do now take back over the lead of this Chinese Grand Prix. So there was not a lot of action going on track. We weren't really battling anyone. We've got nearly 10 seconds to Hamilton. So I thought what I'd do is I'll just leave you, a whole lap in here just so you can see what the driving technique and style was like for these conditions that allowed us to be so quick compared to the AI, and including obviously our teammate there, 52.5 seconds ahead of our teammate. The best part of 2.5 seconds a lap quicker than him. But I'm going to let this lap play out. I won't speak over it just so you can hear the brake input and the throttle inputs to see what's going on underneath my left and right foot with the braking and accelerating, and then I'll come back to you at the end of the lap to continue.
Seeing at least 20 minutes of light rain.
So coming out the final corner, just crossed the line, this was actually our fastest lap of the race. So we just got confirmation from the engineer that the rain's staying with us here, so it's looking like it's going to be intermediates all the way to the end of the race. We're now on the penultimate lap, coming out the hairpin as we're just going to pick up the throttle, and for some reason just a massive spike of torque has sent us flying off the track. We just about managed to keep it at the barrier. We're on the grass, which is extremely slippery, trying to recover back to the track. We've been absolutely smashed by a Sauber by the looks of it. I think it's Felipe Nasr, a lapped car, as we were just recovering. Thankfully we've done a full 360 and managed to continue going in the right direction and not have to perform a 3-point turn or anything, but that is absolutely huge for this race, as we've just got no tyre performance at the moment. The tyres are just overheated from spinning around, and we're just being, we've got backmarkers trying to overtake us, and they need to quit pissing about and get out of the way, as we've got a race that we need to try and get back on track with to win, because I say we've nearly thrown it away. Hamilton is just there behind us. The gap was 13 or so seconds. You see, we lost 13.6 in that middle sector. The gap just 1.1 now. So we need to get back into a rhythm for the last lap or so, which we managed to do as we cut to the final corner of the race. Rounded that with no problems. P1 is going to be ours today. That's going to be back-to-back victories in F1 2016. The Chinese Grand Prix is ours today.
So another fantastic victory for Force India today. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
Rain always has the potential to liven up a race and mix up the order, and they've taken full advantage of that to claim the victory today. It's always a bit of a lottery when the conditions are like this, but they've managed to stay on circuit and have come out on top.
I can see them on their way out to the podium now. Force India have really come a long, long way in this sport, and what a special race this was to see them earn that top spot.
So once again, we stand atop the middle step of the podium, holding up that winner's trophy. And this time round, we do get to taste that sweet taste of champagne. As so many of you pointed out from last episode, it was only going to be, I don't know, rose water or whatever they have in Bahrain. But this time round in China, round 3, it is full on champagne. And we are going to be getting drunk tonight, that's for sure. So, who would have thought? Australia, we scored no points, and then back-to-back victories in Bahrain and China. You can see everyone doing the one-stop, so it just rained throughout the race. And you just see from the fastest laps of the race that we're best part of a second clear of the next car, so we were just on fire this race. Apart from the odd little mistake and nearly, well, the very big mistake at the end of the race, which nearly cost us, which would have been extremely embarrassing, we managed to keep the car pointing in the right direction, put in the lap times that were required, and that has moved us to within 1 point of the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Unbelievable, considering what happened in Australia. Force India now in 4th, and we've got very close to Ferrari and Red Bull. So with the current car performance, there's no reason why we can't look for that to continue and try and close in on Mercedes possibly if Perez even picks up his game. So the rookie coming into F1 in his first season, really taking everything by storm. 127 points gained, that moves us on to our 850 resource points, which is going to be enough to put the upgrade package for the downforce into development at the factory as we now complete the rivalry of Sergio Perez and actually smashed him out of the park in that race. There, so we've won that rivalry over our established teammate in just 3 races of the season. So it'll be interesting to see who the team put us up against next, to see who we're going to be fighting. But for now, we're going to look at the career score, which nobody really seems to care about because I don't really know what it means. But yeah, that has been part 3 of the career mode. Intermediate conditions definitely seeming to favour us there as we demolished the field that race, it must be said. Not a lot of on-track action going on, but we can't help being consistent and faster than the AI there. So, as we say, second in the driver's stand, just 1 point off the top step, which is currently held by Lewis Hamilton. And we are now going to put the downforce of the monkey seat upgrade into place, which is going to give us more efficiently utilising extra exhaust gases to create additional downforce. So hopefully that might be ready for the next episode, the next race in Russia. That's going to put us, if it is, on par with the Williams team already at this early stage of the season. But that has been it for part 3 in the Chinese Grand Prix. I hope you've enjoyed the action and the episode, and I hope to see you guys for some more racing at Russia next time out for part 4, which should be with us very shortly. But until then, it is going to be bye for now, and thank you for watching.